Hey there, everyone. This is Samuel Johnson, and welcome back to the Phantom Perspectives. And if you're wondering where Haley is or Tim, well, here's the thing. I was gonna have Haley come on for this vlog, but unfortunately there are some technical issues, and by that I mean my brakes are out. And considering that I go over to her place whenever I do these vlogs, I didn't feel safe traveling, and so she understands that, and we reschedule for next week. So next week for sure we're going to be doing a vlog, but right now it's just me. But anyway, today we're going to be discussing episode 15 of Danny Phantom: Public Enemies, and this is actually the first episode of Danny Phantom that I went in blind to, because like said of how I saw almost all of season 1, or I think I saw all. I said I saw all of it. Well, apparently I didn't see all of it because I missed this episode because I did not have a single memory of this. And was that for the best? Well, first let's talk about the story. In this case, it's a follow-up with Walker from the Prisoners of Love episode. In this case, he's been recapturing all the ghosts that had escaped from his prison ever since that episode. And there's one, and after managing to catch the the last inmate, he's setting his sights on getting Danny back. Only in this case, rather than just going and capturing him, he wants revenge. He wants to make sure there's no place that Danny can feel safe anymore. As such, he releases one particular prisoner, a lycanthropic ghost called Wolf. Essentially, it's an anthropomorphic wolf whose claws can literally rip through dimensions. It can rip open a portal to the real world. Of course, it's not free because he put a shock collar on it that'll keep it from escaping. But he pretty much says that if he wants the collar off, then they'll do what they say. What wants him to do is that he wants him to rip open a hole to the human world, bring most of Walker's guards with him, and find Danny. And his plan is this. What he wants to do is once he finds Danny, he wants to possess the people close to him, or people that are in his circle, so to speak, or just people in high in power, etc. Pretty much just that he can watch him, study him, analyze him, know his weaknesses, etc. And then he wants to turn everyone against him since his guards attacked Amity Park en masse. Everyone thought it was a actual militarized attack, and as such, the Amity Park starts instituting anti-ghost laws. Like they had the mayor stop by. They have the mayor go to. Excuse me. And then the mayor talks to the people in the high school to talk about all the various rules, and on top of that, they actually got the advice. They actually went to Jack and Maddie to try and get their expertise on this. And what they want to do is that they want to cause so much commotion, cause so much mayhem, and then when all's said and done, they want to pin the blame on Danny, make him look like the ringmaster of all this, which actually they start doing as they start attacking more and more. Wolf keeps attacking Danny, but Danny can't every time Wolf attacks, Danny can't do anything because there are too many people around, so he can't go ghost. But eventually, though, and on top of that, we also get the introduction of another bit of Fenton tech. In this case, the Fenton Ghost Shield. It's essentially a energized shield that any ghost cannot get in or out of, which kind of feels a little loose in some regards. But bottom line, we also see that Wolf can get past that with his claws, but as Wolf keeps attacking and Walker's men keep going on, Walker's men keep going after him, including a bounty hunter whose name I don't know. Pretty much, Danny realizes. Thing is that Danny starts figuring out that Wolf is not doing this willingly. As at the first opportunity Wolf gets, he runs off. He tries to, as such, Walker's men go after them, and so Danny realizes that if these people are after Wolf, if Walker's men are after Wolf, that means he's probably on the up and up, or at least is someone he should trust more over. At least someone he can talk to. As such, he manages to save Wolf from some of his men, and even manages to escape from his parents. And I also like how and we see more again of their tech, including a gun that can shoot a portable ghost portal that sucks any nearby ghosts in. But after bringing the Wolf back to Tucker's place, they try and figure out what it is, and oh yeah. They learn that unfortunately, they can't understand what the wolf says because it speaks Esperanto, and the only person that's somewhat fluent in it is Tucker, and even then, he can't understand a word the wolf says anyway. But bottom line, what's going on is that Walker, after Danny drops Wolf off at Tucker's house, he realizes that he forgot the Fenton thermos back at school, so he manages to go out there, and he has to try and stay hidden because people are still patrolling the streets for ghosts. But upon finding, by which point he does manage to find the Fenton thermos and finds essentially all of Walker and his men. As they did do the plan, as they possessed several people in the school, including Dash, Lancer, and the principal, Yashimoto. I could be wrong, but bottom line, apparently was wrong. I thought I was under the assumption that Lancer was the principal, but I guess he really is just another teacher, a teacher with a lot of standing, but apparently not the principal. As such, with Danny in their sights, Walker reveals himself to Danny and reveals that he wants to turn everyone against Danny. And while Danny manages to escape, he manages to escape back to his house, even locking himself in with the ghost portal or the ghost shield. He can't do anything to hurt Walker. He doesn't know what Walker's planning, especially when he wakes up the next day, Tucker and Sham show him the news, and we see that Walker has possessed the mayor of Amity Park and is now not only is putting Jack Fenton in charge of everything because he's the most incompetent person there, and odds are won't realize that there are ghosts possessing many of the city's elite, but he also pins the blame all on Danny. As such, Danny goes over to the city hall just before they institute martial law for ghosts, and Danny tries to voice his opinion, say I'm on your side and everything, but unfortunately, his parents still think he's just a rapid ghost, think he's just another bad ghost and try hurting him, and Danny thinks that they're possessed too, so he tries doing a light ectoplasm blast thinking that it'll get the ghosts out of them, but yeah, they're not possessed, and all that does is tick them off. As such, Danny tries fleeing and running as his mom keeps shooting at him, but then Walker and his men pull Danny down into the gutters beneath City Hall, and Danny manages to fight each of them off and manages to get most of them out of their body, including Paulina, as he pulls a ghost out of her body and he saves her, which actually gets her attention. I'm mentioning this now because it becomes important in the next episode, so to speak. Excuse me. But bottom line, Danny is able to fight off and even get the ghosts out of the people, and in the meantime Wolf comes in to help Danny because earlier Walker had tried to tase him into non-existence, I guess, but Tucker, using his all-powerful PDA that can literally do whatever the heck it wants, he manages to get the shock collar off of Wolf, and Wolf winds up tracking down Danny to help him fight against Walker and his men. As such, after almost all the men are taken care of by Danny, Wolf, and his mom, who followed Danny to the basement, Walker grabs Danny, and again, Walker is at this point still in the mayor's body, brings him upstairs and has Danny in a hold and positions himself in a way that makes it look like Danny's holding him, bringing him to the front door and saying, "Help, help, he's trying to hurt me," thus making it look like that Danny is thus making Danny look like an enemy. As such, Walker thinks his plan's complete, they're going to hate him now, but Wolf comes up and manages to separate the mayor and Walker from each other, and then that's when Maddie comes up and she shoots at Walker while Wolf is holding him. Danny tries to save Wolf, but unfortunately he can't. So Wolf is sucked through the portal along with Walker, but both Wolf and Walker say they'll meet Danny again. Wolf because he sees Danny as a friend, and Walker because he just wants Danny back in his prison. But bottom line, it looks like it's just Danny and his mom, and Danny looks like he's about to be blasted, but it turns out that the portable ghost portal gun, which didn't have enough of a charge because Jack did not charge it enough. As such, Danny takes it as his cue to run away, but while Walker and his crew are gone now, unfortunately Walker's plan actually was successful, as thanks to Walker having Danny thanks to Walker and his cry of help, save me, while he was in the mayor's body, it looks like Danny is now, pretty much the town thinks Danny is one of the bad guys. As such, while this is kind of a blow against Danny, he still says that he's still going to try doing his thing, even though everyone hates him. And the episode ends when he hears his parents going after Lancer, even though Lancer says he's not a ghost, and Danny just laughs. So yeah, on the whole, it's pretty good. Not great, but it's a decent episode, so to speak. I think one notable problem with it is that Danny and Wolf, I think at first we don't really get much of the relationship between them as friends, so to speak. I mean, the closer we get is that Danny gets him away from Walker and his men, and Sam and Tucker manage to get his collar off, and they even try talking with him, which again is nice. But we don't really see a lot of the moments of them bonding, so to speak. I guess you can make the argument that Wolf knows that Danny's reliable because one, he helped him get away from Walker's men. Excuse me, sorry, digesting lunch. And on top of that, he just doesn't like Wolf. Probably doesn't like Walker. Period. So he probably thinks that, just as Danny thinks that Wolf is better company than Walker. Wolf probably thinks the same thing about Danny. But then that's the case. And then of course we get more of this. We see more of the Fenton technology with the ghost shield and the portal, which I think which is nice. Is nice. And again. But again, kind of comes down to the back, and then but then finally there's Walker. I mentioned before how, in this case, I think we kind of see more of him. When I first saw, this is kind of where this is where I was kind of blind, because when I was younger and I watched Danny Phantom, I only recalled one episode where Walker appeared as a villain, and that was Prisoners of Love. I never saw this, and I'm not saying that's because this episode never aired. No, it did. I just didn't see it. But at the same time, I had no idea what was going on. But this episode really does kind of show that Walker is really not much of the lawful type, so to speak. But with that said, though, he is kind of a very serious villain. While he does have some jokes and snide here and there, he really is trying to do everything he can to try and get to Danny, as he has each of his men take over someone close to him so he can study him, and then when the time is right, he uses all the sort of chaos that Wolf and all of his men were causing to make it look like Danny is just the one organizing it all. Which again, considering the universe, it kind of does make sense. They have all these ghost attacks, and you have this ghost kid running around. I think so. But honestly, for me, that sort of storyline kind of gets under my skin a little. I don't like seeing the hero get framed up, and I know it's supposed to be an obstacle he has to overcome, and I know he will overcome it. I know he does, but again, that's just my personal pet peeve. It's not a big problem, just my personal pet peeve. Honestly, part of the reason, it's like another thing is that Danny doesn't really go ghost for the first, as they show, Danny doesn't really go ghost for the first third of the episode, because there's too many people around. And again, I think another thing on top of that is that we kind of see this is kind of a more organized assault This is a more organized assault. Other times when a ghost has caused problems in the real world, it's been like a singular target or has been is localized. But here it's just a full-on assault, which I think kind of makes sense. Which I think I'm starting to really understand the plan. Walker is trying to create a state of terror. He's having his entire army of ghosts going around causing mayhem, and then suddenly saying, here's the one that's... It kind of makes sense, as when people are scared, they will believe something, especially when things are not going wrong. And sometimes it is just little things. And again, it's nothing great. And again, it's nothing great either. It's nothing really that great. Like, he doesn't have to do a lot. He just has to possess the right people at the right time and cause enough of a disturbance, and then when he says, this is the guy to blame, it kind of makes sense. Although, when you actually stop and think about it, it also kind of wonders, well, shouldn't they have specific examples of Danny causing mayhem? Him actually hurting people? Like, again, part of the thing is, they're possessing people. They actually fight Danny while they're possessed, too. And for some reason, while they're possessing people, they can't get through the ghost shield. Don't know why, I don't know why, because they're still technically... Because the bodies are alive, whatever. Sorry. But again, it's somewhat kind of... Again, I think that would have been a good opportunity to, frame Danny, and so to speak. Create more instances where Danny's attacking innocent people. I think that would have been nice, but they don't do that in this episode. They just fight Danny. In fact, they don't ever tell... I think what would have been a better plan, too, is if Walker didn't tell Danny. He revealed it was him at the, he could, reveal it was him at the final mark. At the final mark. That would have been an interesting idea. It would have kind of gotten on my nerves a little, because I would have wanted Danny to just learn this so much. It involves his reputation. But it is something that I think would have been really nice. and showed just how much of a scope Walker had instead of him revealing it all in one go. Which is kind of which again I think that but that's really kind of it. I'm trying to think why I still think this episode is really just decent instead of good, and I think it's because that it really isn't. There really is just. It's because of how everything is kind of set out. Like we see, like everything. Like we see how how organized Walker is and how he's doing and how he's deploying everything. And again, Wolf doesn't really have much for Danny. Doesn't really have much in the way of his friendship with Danny. I think it's followed up on later in other series. I think it's followed up on later in later episodes, but otherwise, there's nothing really much here. And again, it probably annoys me a little about the ending. But I think that's ultimately one of the bigger things too. Walker doesn't do anything to make Danny look like the bad guy. Like, aside from possessing the mayor and saying, "This is the kid," and then saying, "Help, he's got me." That's really all he does. The rest of the time, he has his men causing mayhem, and then finally just says, "This is the kid! This is the kid!" There's really nothing much to his plan beyond that. It would make sense if he took certain steps, and I kind of get the whole causing panic, and then everyone will believe what he says. But honestly, the plan, aside from that last thing, it really doesn't have much to do with Danny. It's just him causing random mayhem, and then finally directing the attention towards Danny. And I think especially since for the majority of the episode, it just seems he wants to create hostility for ghosts in this area, which in the city, which kind of makes sense somewhat, but for the most part, it's not really directed towards Danny till the end. And I think that is really what was annoying. It actually didn't have anything to do with Danny till he said, "This is the kid that's behind it all." That is all. And again, the stuff with Wolf, there's nothing really much with Wolf, and there's not really much development between Danny and Wolf. That's it. Danny says, "Oh, they're hunting you? Oh, then you're good company." We don't see, and then after that, there's not really much to it beyond that. Which again, maybe it's because Wolf, it's like a boy and his pet type of thing, because Wolf seems to have that mentality somewhat. But on the whole, yeah. But that being said, though, it's not bad either, because Walker is still kind of intimidating with his voice and so forth, and the force behind it. I like seeing the jokes, and I like seeing Danny's parents. I kind of like seeing Danny's parents suddenly get all into this position of power, which I kind of find a little funny. I like seeing the new technology too, because that's always nice. Because while they are kind of morons, they do develop some really impressive technology. But I think on the whole, the stuff with the villains doesn't feel fully developed. Like, Walker's plan on paper sounds right, but unfortunately, it doesn't really feel like it has much to do with Danny until he possesses the mayor. As such, it really just feels like general pandemonium and it's like causing general pandemonium, and when it finally is directed towards the protagonist, it's like near the end of the episode. And again, Wolf doesn't really have much going for him when he and Danny could develop a familiar relationship, but again, for what it does right, I think it does right. I still think the characters are nice. I think the action is nice. I like seeing the jokes with Danny and his parents and so forth. That stuff is perfectly fine. And again, that stuff is perfectly fine, but it's just the stuff with the villains I feel just isn't that as good. It's not bad. It's not awful, but it's just not that good either. And again, as such, yeah, on the whole, Public Enemies is just a decent episode. Not a great episode, just decent. Because again, the bad guy's plot doesn't really feel directed towards Danny, and even then, when it actually gets to the personal aspect, it kind of feels in the last minute, even though the episode is called Public Enemies, and he's trying to frame Danny. Wolf doesn't feel as developed. Danny's relationship with Wolf doesn't feel fully developed. Like, they didn't have enough moments for them to actually bond. I actually bought more that Danny had a better bond with that one dog from Shades of Grey. So, yeah, on the whole, Public Enemies is just decent. Alright. Middle of the road, so to speak. Not awful, not great, but still there's enough there to watch it, so. Yeah. I think that's really all I have to say. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I will see you next week. Take care.